Hello all sentient beings and welcome to the Transmissions Podcast, where we talk all Hasbro, Takara, and third-party Transformers! On this episode of Transmissions, we introduce a new podcast series, Empire of Rust. Takara Tomy releases a video all about their Masterpiece Hound figure, and we have a lot to say on the Transformers War For Cybertron Siege Omega Supreme. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2019, and this is episode 335 of Transmissions.
Welcome to Transmissions, the podcast that raises toy stores from the dead. I'm your host Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Yusuf, better known as Yoshi.
Yo!
Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good too.
Sweet.
Snazzy Mike, podcast producer extraordinaire.
Raised from the dead. You can call me Toys R Us.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian beast.
Hey. Let's talk Transformers.
Really? That's what you're going with?
Wow, okay.
Jesus.
We need to cheer Daryl up, so...
Yeah, from the sound of things, you can't tell which one of us actually was suffering through a migraine today and which one of us is Daryl.
It's super chill Yoshi.
Wow. Another Yoshi added to the library. Okay. As always, we start off the show by thanking our Donatreons, those lovely people who give us money on Patreon and PayPal. Thanks so much, guys. We really appreciate it. You guys help us keep the show going, and we couldn't do it without you.
And you get to listen to a live recording.
If you are not a Donatreon and you'd like to become one, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. Also, you can support us in another way. If you can't become a Donatreon, you can just buy merchandise from our store. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And that store is powered by TeePublic. So if you buy anything from TeePublic through our link, that gives us a little bonus. So we'd appreciate it.
We have that exclusive code for Donatreons that's good for the rest of June, so time's running out. Get you, I think, 30% off.
And we have that on our Patreon page and in our Discord chat where the Donatreons hang out. So if you want the code, just let us know. It's pinned there, so you can find it pretty easily if you are a Donatreon. Also, TFCon is fast approaching. TFCon Toronto, I should say. Daryl and I will be there, and I think we'll probably do another Transmissions meetup. So, like we did last year, we're going to have a survey up. So let us know if you're going to be there and you want to meet us and hang out. I sadly didn't make the dinner last time because of extenuating circumstances. I hope that does not happen this time. So looking forward to seeing everybody at TFCon.
If you turn your phone off when you get there, it can't happen.
I'd say that's a bad idea.
We still had a really good time without you.
Well, that makes me feel good.
We made the most of a really, a really bad situation.
Are you excited for this event, Daryl?
I think I'm going to have a good time.
I can hear it in your voice.
All right. Before we get into talking about some toys, we do have Mike, our awesome, illustrious producer here. And it's a special occasion because we have a special announcement.
Producer?
I did say that. Yes.
Did he get upgraded? And what the fuck?
The week that it was just me and Daryl, we unilaterally decided to promote him.
Yep.
Okay.
And I endorsed it, so it's official.
Just a common courtesy humorist. Do you want to vote on this, Yoshi? Would have been nice, but whatever. You earned it, Mike. I'm sure you did.
It didn't change his pay at all, so don't worry, Yoshi.
I'm trying to decide whether I should feel sorry for Yoshi for being left out or bad for him insulting me. I guess you don't want me to be producer, Yoshi. All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Well, today I learned that not only does Yoshi not come on the show every week, he also doesn't read any of the host chat where we discuss this.
I wasn't hired because I can read, Charles.
Anyway, Mike, you're here. We're here to talk about your new announcement and special project. We're not here to argue about your being a producer, because you are a producer. You're our awesome producer, and that's final. So,
and I'm painfully aware of that fact now.
All right. Well, excellent. Yes. So we have a big announcement for the Transmissions Network. We are adding a new podcast to the show. So this is going to be a Transformers actual play podcast called Empire of Rust. It's based off of the Starfinder role-playing game system, and it is going to be myself and 5 friends of mine who are local to me. We are playing a tabletop role-playing game, Transformers themed, set in the IDW Transformers universe, and we are recording it, editing it, and putting it up on the Transmissions Network for all of you guys to enjoy.
Sounds very cool. So it's also interesting because we just had a few weeks ago someone asking about a live action role playing, if we were into that or if we were thinking about that, and serendipity, because we are and we were, and Mike's doing it. So Mike, you are I guess it's game master, dungeon master. If it was D&D, it would be dungeon master, right? And your friends are all original characters, so different Cybertronians. I think they're all like. Do you have like one ex-Decepticon or like one Autobot and then the bunch of neutrals? I think.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting set of characters. I kind of expected a lot more Autobots and Decepticons in the mix, but turns out we only have one ex-Decepticon in the party. And the rest of the party is from the colonies, and not just from the colonies, but from other planets completely. We have 2 characters from Eucharis, one from Velocitron, and we have one who is from Scarvix, which is a very deep cut into the IDW verse. I think it was mentioned in More Than Meets the Eye for like 1 or 2 issues. But when he took a look at the history of the Transformers universe, he kind of latched onto that one place as kind of his home, or his kind of the planet that he enjoyed the most.
Yeah, so I've gotten a chance to listen to the first couple of episodes, and just to set the stage. So this is taking place in the IDW universe, but it's right at the I guess if the First Strike miniseries, that was the original setup, was that Earth was joining the Council of Worlds, and then some human terrorists attacked and started and disrupted the ceremony. So this is an alternate reality, alternate universe. So we're not dealing with humans in this universe here. So this attack does happen, but it's not like the G.I. Joe villains or anything like this. It's not Cobra. It's not any of that. It's going to be mostly robots, right? I mean, the humans are kind of extra background characters because it is dealing with Earth as a new colony world, but the action is all set on Cybertron and mostly dealing with Cybertronians. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. During the development of the series, and as I was writing up everything that I need to prepare, because something like this, like setting up a campaign, does take quite a while to do, and just the idea of it just takes a while to develop. It first came about right around the time of First Strike. I decided, and we had talked about it and talked about kind of where we wanted to set it and when we wanted to set it. In the end, we started development at that point, and it was we started making plans and started coming up with ideas, and then IDW went on and did its own thing with First Strike, and then everything past that. But we had to pick a point at one point in the continuity where we could just kind of lock it in and say, all right, this is where we're going to start. Everything that's happened in the past is still happened. It's still going on, still there. But everything that happened after that is an alternate history, an alternate future. So we pick up, the start of the show picks up right at the point of the First Strike miniseries. But as you said, Charles, with the exception that it's not G.I. Joe and humans dealing with the attack on Cybertron, it's going to be other Cybertronians. And we introduced kind of this interesting subgroup within the factions to kind of push that idea along. And so I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's going to be pretty awesome. Not going to lie.
Cool. Yeah, so since you're running this play session, I assume it's everyone's in the room with you, so that makes it easier to run these sessions. I would like to participate, of course, but time and distance and everything makes things difficult. But I think if there's ever a chance where we can do like some old school or OG transmissions hosts can be like some guest characters or cameos at some point. Maybe we could think about that, but I'm not making any promises. I'm just saying this is my personal desire. I've not discussed this with Mike before this, but that would be cool. But other than that, I think it'll be a cool additional podcast everyone gets a chance to listen to. And if you're not familiar with a D&D play session podcast, I think this will be something interesting and especially cool with Transformers characters.
Absolutely. And you are right. It is going to be a bunch of people in the room with me, just because I've played in sessions like online before, but it's just very difficult to manage over time.
Yeah.
And I've just found it's always better just to actually have a group in person. And unfortunately, none of you guys are local to me.
Everyone moved to Pittsburgh. That's my idea.
No.
Canada's obviously better.
Mike, I got a question for you. I'm a fellow GMer. I'm so interested in the craft and how shit gets done, and I've got a ton of questions for you that would just destroy the story for people who want to listen to it. So I'll just ask you this. Is your game mastery style very kind and, wanting to get the story told, or are you just like a murdering asshole?
I like to think the story is more important, especially in this case that we're recording it. I don't think anyone's going to enjoy having just a party wipe like right in the middle of episode 1 or 2.
Okay, so you're not playing with prison rules.
Right. That being said, if someone dies, if a character dies, that's it. Shit happens.
And see, that would be an argument to move the game to Canada because they've got that free healthcare system. I know if my character died, I'd be pissed and start killing.
All right. Well, we do have a short clip so you can get a taste of what you're going to hear in Empire of Rust. And the first episode will drop in just a couple of weeks. So right after the 4th of July holiday, that week after, and right before TFCon. So you'll get a chance to listen on your drive or flight to TFCon. So let's roll the clip.
So what do you guys want to do?
With my perception check, do I notice anyone with a Decepticon badge?
That is a good question, and I believe the answer is going to be yes.
Or even a blatant Cybertron first? Is that what it was?
Oh, yeah.
Like, somebody might literally be like, hey. And you're like, well...
With that perception check, you don't notice anyone with a Cybertron first symbol. You do notice that the pair of bots towards the back in the corner, heading away from you, yep, those two there, those two have Decepticon symbols. You can kind of see one, the kind of the side glance of one on one of the shoulders, and the other one on the one that's facing you has it on his chest. And on the opposite side over here, near the furthest booth, you see two of them have Autobot symbols on them.
So I would like to go up to them, the Decepticon ones that I saw.
Okay, you can do that.
Don't you want to get drinks first?
You can get a drink. I'll be right back.
What do you want?
Something. I don't care.
Some things are good.
Whatever you're getting.
I'm gonna get something awful. Like I'm gonna ask this blur person, like, what's the worst drink that you have?
Hi, my good bot. What can I get you? What are you drinking? What are you having? You've got to order something. It's a bar, not a battlefield.
What's the worst thing that you have?
The worst thing? That would be nightmare fuel. It'll rot you from the inside out, top to bottom. It'll corrode your spark casing and wreck your transformation cog.
No, not in like a strong, as in just taste awful. The thing that no one ever orders twice.
A weak NGEX spritzer?
Bang. And then for me, something better.
Nightmare fuel it is.
That sounds wonderful. Right.
Okay, so you get your drinks and Wild Strike.
Nice.
Wild Strike, you walk up to the two Decepticons in the back. You recognize one of them. The one on the right, his name is Tiltfire. You recognize him from the Mangarai offensive about 8,000 years back. From what you remember, he racked up a fairly impressive body count against the Autobots during the battle, but you haven't really heard much of him lately.
Okay. I'll stroll up and I'll... Hey, Tiltfire, is that you?
All right, what will happen next? Will there be a big bar fight? I don't know. You have to check out Empire of Rust. Coming very soon.
I want to know if the drinks fucked him up in any way.
I wanted to do like the quintessential bar scene that happens in every game.
Right. And the sound effects you did were great too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do a great blur.
So it's we're going to do a release every 2 weeks, with the first one being the Monday after the 4th of July. So it's going to be July 8th is going to be the first episode drop, and then again every 2 weeks after that.
All right. So we'll put them out in the main transmissions feed. We'll also have a separate feed for it, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have links and everything up when it's ready. All right, so that is Empire of Rust, and send all your comments and concerns to Daryl at Cybertronian Beast, or Daryl at transmissionspodcast.com, but address it to Mike. All right, let's get into some toy news.
Okay, this week we've got one picture from Fans Hobby. They've released a new prototype image for a Thunderclash figure that they're going to do. This is based on their Power Baser mold that they released a little while ago. This is a big guy that they're putting out. And doing a Thunderclash for him is a pretty a big deal, because Thunderclash is pretty. He's pretty impressive figure on his own. Getting him to, we've seen some pictures as well. They're not in this story, but I did see them online, that they did show that there is a combat deck for him. I believe it's part of a trailer he can stand on. So that is pretty cool. I don't know if this is the first remold that Fans Hobby has done. This is they haven't released a lot of figures. I just know from when we had Jason Kirk on, he has I think all of the Fans Hobby releases, and they're all really big. So This is probably going to be a really big figure.
The Power Baser is the Power Master Optimus Prime, right?
That's right. Yeah. Going around the room here, Jeremy. This is a remold of a figure you really like. What do you think of Thunderclash here?
Without having the colors, it's really hard to tell. I mean, because he's a really colorful figure, or like the character himself is. Initially, I think I am liking this. I just pulled up the Power Baser pictures so I could see the differences. Mm-hmm. And if you just kind of look at this, it's hard to see Optimus Prime right away. But then you start kind of paying more attention, and you can see. I mean, it looks like he just has something just sticking on top of the truck cab. So I hope it's a little bit cleaner when we get paint and everything, and things are more hidden or just things blend together better, because it does look a little bit like a mess to me, but I like what I'm going with. It's obviously not a finished product.
Yeah. I'm just looking for the pictures that we have, or that I saw earlier, of him in his alt mode, and I can't seem to find them just yet, but I'm going to keep looking. Charles, have you had a chance to study this thing yet? Give me your opinion on Thunder Clash here.
It's not hard. It's a little hard to judge based on the gray prototype, but I mean, it does look good. I am not big Thunderclash guy. I mean, other than the More Than Meets the Eye appearance, and Lost Light, I guess. I haven't really had much connection with this character. I know he's the original the original toy was that Machine Wars Optimus Prime, wasn't it? The same mold as
the other way around, but yeah.
I mean,
Thunderclash was first.
Yeah, Thunderclash was first, but I mean, it's I don't know. It's a meh for me.
Okay. I just posted another link in the chat there that does show the other pictures. So the ones that we saw in the original story are the combined mode. So he's combined with his trailer. Now, if you take him apart, then he can actually use like the combat deck. Very reminiscent of the original figure. If you keep scrolling down, I'm just doing it myself. I haven't seen it here. But there is a picture, it is out there, that does show him in his alt mode. So looking at that, the little missile launcher things that what they were in the original toy, just sticking out there like that on top of the trailer, that they look very odd to me like that. On the original toy, there is a back piece that kind of comes up and kind of levels off with the with those missile pods. Here there's nothing. It just kind of sits there like jet engines on the back of this trailer, which look really dumb.
There needs to be wings or something.
There needs to be something.
Maybe they're giant cannons. Like
they are,
but clearly here they look like boosters. Like
yeah,
booster rockets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that's definitely odd looking. I mean, I'm going to give him props. This is a remold, so I think in combined mode he's going to look, incredible. But in alt mode, he's going to look kind of goofy. They'll get that weird kind of, late G1 paint scheme on him, and that'll look kind of cool. But those rocket engines at the top there, they're just sitting out in the open, and they look kind of dumb. Yoshi, taking a look at this, what do you think?
Well, this is one of those figures I would really wish I could see it colored. I know we're early in that, and everybody else has said that. However, the figure itself, man, that thing looks like a solid brick. Like, I think that could stop any door or go through any window. Like that, in bot form, that thing just looks like a solid robot. It's not going anywhere. I don't know that I'm in love with the cab in alt mode, though. And that has to do mostly with the way I'm seeing the windshield, or the lack thereof. And maybe it's just early prototypes we're looking at, and it's not done yet, I hope. Man, the bot mode looks sexy. I really like it. That thing looks like one solid figure to me.
Right on. And Mike, you are no stranger to third-party figures. Is this something that might be on your list?
It does look pretty good. I don't have the Thunderclash figure. I do have the Machine Wars Prime mold, and that was the first time I had ever seen that mold, I think, like a lot of us. But yeah, I think I'm going to echo a lot of what you guys have already said. Color is going to make or break this thing. It's just that the gray is not doing it any service at all. Looking at some of the pictures that you just posted about with the battle platform, I absolutely hate the look of that battle platform.
Okay.
It's a box with two guns on legs. That's all it is. It reminds me of like the AT-AT walkers. It's just silly looking.
It kind of looks like the walker from the prequels with the clone troopers on it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The smaller bot doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad at all. I'm liking that look. The combined mode, kind of a pass. But like I said, it really is going to be the color on this thing. If they nail the color, then this is going to go up. Big points in my opinion. But if they don't hit the color really well, then it's just going to be like a eh.
All right. Just for comparative, we don't have, obviously, it's in prototype form, so we don't have any kind of pricing on it. The original Power Baser is still sitting on like sites like BBTS and a lot for $209.99. So expect this thing to come in over $200. There is a limited edition Nemesis Prime version of Power Baser for $250. I don't think that's as high as this is going to go. I don't think that's really where this is going to end up, but just I think it's going to probably end up around the 209 mark, but maybe a little higher since it's a remold, but who knows. Anyway, it's an interesting piece, and I do like the colors of Thunderclash, so I'm going to keep an eye on this one myself just to see. Not likely going to pick it up for myself just because the price is going to be outrageous, but definitely want to see how it turns out. But that's what I brought to the show this week. Jeremy, what do you got?
I have business news. The Toys R Us saga continues. We have news that they are the new entity, True Kids Incorporated, which is probably the husk of what Toys R Us was, is trying to reopen by the end of the year. Woohoo! They are pitching an idea of stores that are about 10,000 square feet, which is, this article says it's about a third of the size of the previous stores, or probably what you would see when you go to TFCon Toronto. They will have more things like play areas. And they're changing the model of how they get product from vendors. It's still, all talk. I mean, we still haven't seen the KB Toys that was rumored last year. I'm sure they have a lot of goodwill that needs to be reestablished. But one of the bigger toy makers in the company, MGA Entertainment, says it's on board to sell at their shops. So they have the things like Little Tykes and Bratz dolls, but the big guys like Mattel and Hasbro, who knows? It is probably clear that no one that lost their job as a result of Toys R Us going out of business is going to get their job back through this. It's a completely new thing. So unfortunately, they still got screwed over. Hopefully, they've found better employment since then. What do you guys think? Is the brand salvageable in the U.S.? Mike, start with you.
There's still an opening, I think, in the market for a dedicated toy store. And it's going to have to be kind of like the old Toys R Us model without the debt and everything that kind of sunk Toys R Us to begin with. If they can make it work, I think there's space in the market for it. But it's one of those cases where I think it is going to be a wait and see. It's certainly not going to be as many stores as Toys R Us had in the U.S. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any number or anything on the story, was there? No,
I mean, there wasn't really any significant information. It looks like they had more than 700 locations in the previous incarnation. But this says a half dozen U.S. stores and an online site by the end of this year. It'll be in the bigger markets for sure.
Over near me, there was, I want to say, 5 Toys R Us's within driving distance. In the end, that was probably a little bit too saturated for the area. I mean, granted, the population around Boston is pretty high, but I don't think it was enough to justify 5 full-on stores.
Yeah. Yoshi, you were pretty excited. What do you think?
Well, I don't think the public is going to retain a memory of Toys R Us screwing over their employees. I think the nostalgia factor can help them. I think with the 2020 releases of the new Microsoft and Sony consoles, puts them as a good place that people would want to buy those from, because GameStop sucks. They've got some things in their favor. If there's one near me, I'll go check it out for sure. I hope that they can get that feeling back I had when I was a kid going in their store, and not the feeling I had as an adult going in their store.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, definitely. Especially, you and I have young kids. It would be nice to bring back that magic of a toy store.
I don't know about you. I mean, we've got little toy stores in my area, and I go into them, and I'm like, oh, my kid's just missing out. This is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Charles, what do you think? You think this is going to work?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like any new retail venture is a little bit difficult these days. I mean, online is just such a huge change to the market where, you know, it's so much easier now to buy stuff online. I mean, is there room for a dedicated toy store like this? I hope there is, but it seems risky. I mean, even if you don't have a mountain of debt, it still seems a little risky.
Toys R Us was doing fine until they got bought and all that debt was just pushed over onto them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when they come back, assuming they can avoid all of that, I think they'll actually have the capital and the income to compete in the markets, because it wasn't simply just toys that Toys R Us sold. I mean, they had every kind of like entertainment product that you could get, that you could find, and they had video games. They had
bikes and trains and video games.
yeah, exactly. They had video games. They had DVDs, music. They had like kids' clothes, baby stuff.
Walkmans.
Did they?
Yeah, that's where I bought my first Walkman from.
Nice. Bicycles, you know, like anything, even like kids' outdoor stuff. So they had a big range. I think they have the space in the market for it. Just with the debt they had, they were just paying off debt the entire time.
Yeah, they just were. It was like quicksand. They just weren't ever making progress. All right. Well, Daryl, you have Toys R Us local to you, so I'm just going to go on to my next topic, and you'll probably.
I'm the only one that has any ideas as to like what might stop it, though.
Okay, then what will stop it?
Well, you mentioned it in the first part of your story. There is that, you know, you've got this one major toy maker that's signed on to sell, but Hasbro and Mattel haven't yet.
Yeah,
Mattel itself is locked up in a buyout negotiation that isn't going well, and they're not really looking to do anything right now. Plus, you know, you forget that Toys R Us burned the bridge with Lego pretty bad when they closed their doors, because they were clearancing out Lego, and Lego does not go on clearance. That's a big no-no for Lego. So Lego was very upset with Toys R Us. So, you know, if these companies decide they don't want to sell their stuff at a Toys R Us type store again, it's gonna fail. You can't have a toy store without Hasbro, Mattel, and Lego. And then on the other hand, you mentioned video games. Back in the 80s, there was a lot of margin in video games. There is no margin in video games anymore. I think if they are going to succeed, if they do come back, the first thing that goes is video games.
Yeah, especially with things like Steam, and you know, everyone's going to download only.
Yeah, the ones that are here in London, the video games section, which is where I worked when I was here, is minuscule now. It's unmanned. It's barely has any kind of video game presence, and it's essentially a spot where they put like the higher end collectibles, like the Spawn figures or the Overwatch stuff or something like that. But you know, it's just it's not a video game section anymore. So Toys R Us here in Canada is slowly moving out of video games. Definitely moving out of DVDs, which was a huge part of the market.
Yeah, I did just look up at that Mattel thing you were talking about, and it looks like the company that's trying to take Mattel over is that MGA Entertainment. So that would be one good thing. If they did take Mattel, they're already agreeing to sell in the new Toys R Us. But
right.
It looks like they're trying to do a hostile takeover.
Yeah, so that's an interesting situation to watch, especially for a Toys R Us store. You know, I am all for you guys getting a Toys R Us type store back, right? You know, but it's there. You know, first of all, it's 6 stores across your entire country.
I think it's 12.
You said half a dozen. So.
Oh, I did. Oh.
So that's 6, Jeremy.
Don't get me with this metric counting stuff.
Online is good, right? The shipping, everyone is going to this Amazon style shipping. So I don't know. They have to get good at shipping, which Toys R Us here in Canada is not. I don't know if it is better in the US or was better in the US, but
shipping is generally good in the US. But unfortunately, they have to compete with Amazon,
right?
Which is
that
is even
behemoth.
Worse than David and Goliath. That's
it's a behemoth there. So yeah, it's a tough road to haul, and frankly, I'm not pulling for them because of what the shit that they pulled with their employees. So I'd like you guys to have something, but in the same token, I don't want it to be the Toys R Us group.
Right. Yeah. I kind of agree with you on that. It's hard to get over how badly they screwed their former employees.
Right, while lining their own pockets. Right. Well, that's a corporate shenanigan that happens every single time. I was holding out hope for this other one, the KB Toys thing, but that seems to have just been a stunt of some kind. So anyway, we're obviously going to pay attention to it, but we'll see where it goes. We got 6 months? They said by the end of the year. So
yeah, I mean, I think they're hoping for the Christmas season.
Well, obviously, it's literally their Christmas season.
All right. Well, I do have one more thing here because number one, Derek in Discord in our pre-show chat, he's one of our Donatron supporters, asked that we have more third-party coverage. So I added the story in.
I try, Derek. I try. I try every single time.
So we have a new X-Transbot. This is a repaint of their MX-17 Savant. This will be MX-17T Taiho, and this is their Masterpiece skids, but in a police paint job. This is apparently a reference to a classic anime called You're Under Arrest, or Taiho. I'm not going to pronounce this second word because I'm not even going to try. But that's where the Taiho comes from. And it's a police car with skids. And this is the Masterpiece skids that comes with the little scooter that fits into the back of the car. So, I mean, we talked about it significantly a few years ago when it came out. But I think this thing looks really cool. You can tell if you've seen the Siege Prowl, you can tell the paint job kind of matches with the front of the car. The hood has a similar kind of paint job. But I mean, it looks like an '80s police hatchback. Daryl, what do you think? Did you get the original one
from this company?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I don't have a Masterpiece scaled skids, so it's a good looking figure, that's for sure. I'd probably personally stay away from a variant just because I'd only want one of the versions. But right. I like the police variant that they've got going on here. It looks pretty cool. I do remember talking about this back in the day, and it looks pretty cool. There's some pictures in the thread that show this with a couple of girl standees, I guess. They're like little figures. I don't think they move, but they're like little police officers. That's right. And I believe I remember that this comes with them or something like that. I don't recall exactly, but this is going back a couple years. But yeah. Well, there are pre-orders available for this, so we can. But it's cool. I like it a lot. It's a really neat mold. It's different. It's not the same kind of aesthetic that we're used to. But yeah, I think it's cool. Mike, how about you? What do you think?
I'm loving the color scheme. The way the white and black really work in robot mode. It looks pretty cool. What happens to the scooter when he's in robot mode? Because I'm seeing it packed up in the trunk in vehicle mode, but I don't see what happens in robot mode. Does it attach to somewhere?
That I don't know. I mean, in some of the pictures of the robot mode, you see the scooter, so I'm guessing you have to take it out.
Pre-order says it includes 2 girl figurines.
So that's cool. I mean, I'm guessing that the girls are from the anime.
I would assume so.
One of his guns looks like an old-style Star Trek phaser.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I think it's his engine.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It's like an alternator's vehicle.
Yeah, those are great. Yoshi, what do you think? Well, we know you have an affinity towards skids based on a sketch cover that you had done.
Yes, this is true. And I do like skids. I do like the figure. I got the G1 figure. I don't know that I give a shit about this particular color scheme, but I remember when the first time it came around, I was like, do I want it for the scooter or not? I guess I ended up going with no.
But this is the scooter that came, if you bought the actual car that this is based off of, you got the scooter.
Right. I know.
That was
it's still
a neat gimmick.
Very much so.
All right, Charles, what do you think? Be interested in seeing this at TFCon? If you saw it at TFCon.
Nah. I mean, I like skids from More Than Meets the Eye in particular. Of course, can't forget G1 skids and Charlene.
Charlene, that's her name.
But yeah, this anime with the police ladies, not really. It's not my cup of tea, and this is great for the people who like it, but yeah, not for me. But it is a nice deco. I mean, if you ever wanted a little police van.
Yoshi, what do you got this week?
First up is we're revisiting the story of the G1 box art puzzles by Ocean Design. Their Weibo account released some new pictures, and we get to see some more close-up, detailed pictures of this boxed puzzle. Seems to also come with some G1 character cards and stat sheets that require the red plastic to read, which is kind of neat. All the puzzle pictures seem to be the lower count puzzle piece version instead of the higher count. But yeah, this thing looks like it's coming closer and closer to being released, and I hope we certainly get the opportunity to pick it up. You still into this, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm all over this. I think it's neat, and I love getting the little cards with the text specs. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Mike, you like games. How do you like puzzles?
I'm loving this. I want these.
I want one of each, absolutely.
I think I like the Metroplex and Triptychon artwork one better, but yeah, I definitely want these.
Daryl, will you be picking this up from your Toys R Us?
Well, like I mentioned last time, probably not. I don't have the time to do puzzles. I'm too cool. No, probably not. But they are awesome. That's for sure.
One of those statements you just said was factual. The other was a lie.
I am pretty cool.
Charles, I'm sensing family game night.
Well, is a puzzle a game?
Yes, puzzles are games.
I'll debate that, but anyway,
of course you will.
I like I said before, I think I'll go with the 300-piece version rather than the 1,000-piece version. But this would be fun to put together.
But you're an engineer.
And
you should be going for more complexity.
I'm going to have to explain the basics of engineering. But yeah, this is also the Metroplex and Triptychon box art, I think, is also very cool. Like, I still think that was never on any U.S. boxes. I think that's a Japan only box art. So I think it's even cooler. So I would like to pick these up. And then the tech spec sheets, they're an added bonus. I like that.
It's a little weird because the line on the tech spec is actually much more visible without the little red cellophane. I mean, you can clearly see where it is. You don't even need the decoder there.
Yeah, I think
this company specializes in puzzles, Mike.
Well, which is why they should be able to hide a damn blue line.
This is kind of a lost art from the 80s.
Yeah, the modern printers can't handle this.
And my next and final item is Takara Tomy has released a promotional video featuring their Masterpiece Hound figure, where we get to see a cute little stop-motion animation of it transforming, and one of the designers playing with it in his hand and transforming it and showing us some of the more interesting features of it. Daryl, I got to look at this, and as someone who is fascinated and in love with tires, I got to ask you, how How impressed or unimpressed were you with the way they hid the tires?
I think it's a pretty good idea. Definitely not rubber, but the way that they just kind of explode that rear tire on both in the back of there and just kind of fold it up on itself is pretty cool. Makes it definitely smaller.
Have we seen that gimmick anywhere else before?
No, I don't think so. Okay. The one part of the engineering that kind of bothers me is his head.
Uh-huh.
It's not attached to the body. It's on some kind of arm that attaches to his back and then kind of flips up and rests the head on the hood of the Jeep. There's a picture here from the video of with the lettering underneath it, just before the MP47 in blue, and you can actually see right underneath his neck. So it doesn't attach there at all, and I really don't like that. That looks terrible. And obviously you see the arm behind his head there. Not wanting to point this out for everyone and ruin it, but there it is.
That is interesting. It's weird how I went right for the tires and you went right for the head. I think that's...
Well, I flipped through all the panels while you were talking, so...
Well, Charles, it looks like, judging from this video, that the downside of having cool transformable tires that hide away within the leg is they don't rotate at all. And as you're somebody who hates statues, I hate this. What do you? At what point is a transformer that's alt mode is a vehicle and you can't go vroom vroom with it? Too annoying to purchase.
Well, I mean, that is disappointing, but I got to imagine for Masterpiece figures, you're not doing too much vroom vrooming, but it's still, I mean, we've talked about this before, but the price is the major sticking point for me. I mean, I don't think you're getting the value with this Masterpiece figure for the cost that they're asking. And I guess that this just cements that. I mean, not being able to turn the wheels is, yeah, it's a pretty.
It's like you're taking away features now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like that. It's like, okay, we're just going to take away features that have been standard up until we take them away. I don't know. It really, that one really. I mean, rubber tires aside, now they don't rotate.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Blah.
But it's easy for me to make the decision not to buy it. So they've
right.
You know,
they've priced us out.
Yep.
Do we know that the tires don't rotate?
I am basing this on the video where he scooches it on his desk, and I see very clearly that the tires are not rotating.
All right. I'm gonna just say that it would be highly unlikely that they would make a vehicle with 4 tires that don't rotate. But I guess we'll wait and see. At least the rear tires, you can see that there's a pin in them in the middle.
Yeah, I see that. I can only make comments based on everything I've seen, and I hope the tires rotate and that there was just something wrong with the version we saw in the video. But he's pushing it on his desk and it ain't moving.
Sure,
Jeremy, if your kid is bad for Christmas this year, will this replace coal for you?
No, because coal is much cheaper.
Okay.
There's so much I like about this figure, but then seeing this actual transformation really sours me on it. I like the whole tire hiding gimmick, but the floating head just really, like, now that you see it, and then when you see the picture of him from the side, like kneeling in front of Spike, it's just, I don't know, there's got to be a better way to do that. So it just really sours my desire for this figure. So Takara, your marketing work went the opposite way.
How do you feel about it, Mike?
I've already been priced out of Masterpiece figures, so like any comments I have are really more just like nitpick kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I do really like the kind of tire transformation. I agree. That's not something we've seen before, we've seen like a tire separate, like not split in half, but like split in half vertically on a couple of figures, and that's kind of an interesting way they did it. The head doesn't bother me, but what does bother me is the armature that his missile launcher is sitting on. It's just very obviously this kind of thing sticking out to the side, and that's kind of it's just a little annoying. I think for Masterpiece figures, it really is like, I don't want to say the bar has come down, but I would expect more with a Masterpiece figure. I mean, alternators were $20, and you got rotating rubber tires. You got a little bit of like axles on them too, so like tires would rotate like on the suspension, and you got full interiors, and they still managed to make the figure look fairly nice. I don't understand why they can't do that for Masterpiece figures at less than $200.
These are all good points, and I agree with you completely. And those are my items. What do you have, Charles?
All right. Well, first up, the Figure King magazine in Japan came out. This is number 257. They have lots of pictures of the new Masterpiece Hound and the War for Cybertron Siege Omega Supreme. Some Cyberverse figures and some Movieverse figures too. The Studio series. We've also got some additional pictures of Masterpiece 48 Lio Convoy, and in particular, I mean, we've talked about all these things already. There's not really something new to talk about. The one thing I did want to mention is apparently the Lio Convoy is getting a little pack-in figure. Yeah, so we're getting Artemis, who is apparently a teenage girl who was in the Beast Wars 2 anime series. She was the robotic teen girl who was the sentinel of planet Gaia. So, watching over the planet from the moon. So I guess that's a nice bonus for all you Lio Convoy fans out there. Yeah, so I guess this figure looks a lot more detailed than the like Spike, Carly, and Sparkplug figures we were getting in the other G1 masterpieces. So I wish they do a similar treatment for those figures compared to this one in Beast Wars 2. Jeremy, any thoughts on this?
I still like the figure. This doesn't really change my opinion much. The addition of the little robotic girl figure doesn't really do, since I haven't actually seen the show itself, doesn't really do anything for me. But I mean, it's nice that they put it in, because most of the people that want this figure probably know about the character. I do really like that Omega Supreme that towers over him, though.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this, or Lio Convoy in general, or anything else in this Figure King magazine?
I love the idea of Lio Convoy. Wasn't it last week or the week before you guys had said that he has a fake lion head?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That just bugs me. That really does.
I mean, you can see in the picture how different the lion head on his shoulder is in robot mode compared to the beast mode. Like it looks like it's even a different. The mane is a different color and shape.
Well, I think it's just the mane flips over. It's the other side of the main pieces.
So you think the head, like the face of the lion, is the same in both modes, but it's the mane changes based on the mode?
The other face is on the other side, so it basically turns inside out.
What? That's ridiculous. It's in the same spot, but they just flipped it inside out.
I mean, if you look at the robot from in the previous story, we had a different angle. You can see the beast mode face kind of hidden inside above his shoulder.
That's ridiculous. There's no need for that. It's in the same spot. There's absolutely the amount of engineering they spent to get that kind of complexity is completely irrelevant considering it's in the same damn spot. Don't get me wrong, the figure looks pretty good, but that's just it's a needlessly complex feature, quote unquote. Still, good looking figure though.
Yoshi, I know you are immensely looking forward to Lyle Convoy, right? That's your one of your favorites from G1, right?
Dude, you have given me the reason I needed to cancel my subscription to this shitty magazine. Thank you. I have nothing of any value to add to this discussion.
Fair enough. All right, Daryl, any thoughts on Artemis or anything else with some of the pictures we've got here?
With regards to the Artemis, you mentioned that you were hoping that they do the same for Spike and whatnot. The Artemis figure's obviously much bigger. You can tell that they've given her knee joints, ankle tilts, a waist crunch or an ab crunch, hips, likely shoulder joints. There's a lot in this little figure, so no wonder it's a lot more detailed. As far as the other figures go, I mean, I said pretty much everything I need to say about Lyle Convoy last week, but I'm really starting to get excited about Omega Supreme. This Siege Omega Supreme is, you get to see all the other stuff that's coming with it. Not that there's much, but there's some other stuff. Like there's some...
Hold that thought, Daryl, because that's my next topic.
Oh, you're not there yet?
All right. Well, let's go right into it, since clearly we want to move the show along. So yeah, let's talk about Omega Supreme. So we had a nice shot in the Figure King magazine, but we also now have a bunch of new stock images of the new Omega Supreme figure. And yeah, this guy is looking really good, really nice. We got some close-ups of his head and face, which is very G1-esque, I would say. Just the robot in general, the little countdown Micromaster looks really good too. And we've got nice images of the base mode, the rocket ship, the tank, and everything. We've even got a picture of the package art too. Yeah, this is a really good figure. So yeah, go ahead, Daryl. Let her rip.
Yeah, no, I mean they're sending it with blast effects, or fire blast effects that they're calling it. These things are combinable, so you can make like a really big one, or you can spread them around the figure and make it look like he's getting hit from a whole bunch of different things, or when you combine them, make him look like he's shooting it. That's really cool. Obviously, you can use the existing ones that you've been getting on the Target Masters, but that looks really cool. The close-up of his face, and there's one picture that has him in like the dark on like a cityscape. It looks like his eyes are glowing. So is this battery operated of some kind? I don't know.
I'm gonna guess it's just light piping. I don't think there's any motorization in this figure.
But I mean, the one makes it look like his eyes are red, and then the other one, his eyes are yellow. So
if you look at the close-up on his head, you can see a small transparent orange sliver in the top of his head. That would be light piping. It's picture number 5.
I'm gonna hold out hope for some batteries. Maybe some a voice box of some kind. That would be awesome. But I'm gonna be super positive here, Jeremy. Don't bring me down. And yeah, you get the measurement of him being 61 centimeters tall, which is pretty tall.
The size of a small toddler.
It brings him in line with Metroplex and Fortress Maximus. So all the Autobots are super tall.
Shouldn't Metroplex be a lot bigger than Omega Supreme?
Yep. I'm not complaining, though.
When has scale ever been accurate for transforming toys?
Scale is super important, Charles.
Fortress Maximus should be able to hold Omega Supreme. So I mean, come on.
So we need a human-sized Fortress Maximus figure to hold
essentially
Omega Supreme. Well, Mike, despite the scale issues, does this figure still look good to you?
Does it look good? Yes. Do I like it? No. The engineering behind this thing is just so simplistic. When I can see exactly how the thing transforms just by first glance, that's not an interesting figure to me. I'm looking at one of the base mode pictures, picture number 12, and I mean you can clearly see the slot in the back where the rocket goes. You can clearly see the slot up front where the tank goes, and then that's it. You know, no real surprise, no real figuring it out or anything. It's just that's everything done.
Your issue with the figure is it's too simple.
Yep.
Okay.
I like complex transformations. A lot of the movie stuff that I have, I like the transformation of it. I just don't like the aesthetic.
Well, Yoshi, what do you think? Does this hit your G1 sensibilities?
No, the more I look at this, the more I realize how much of a giant piece of shit it is.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, I was being kind.
No, you were being kind, and I'm shocked that you and I hate it for different reasons. To me, a lot of why this looks good is how they photographed it. I think they really were good with their lighting and their levels and their photoshoppery. I think this figure, despite its height, is going to be extremely light because I think it's extremely hollow. Let's go back to image 12, Mike. I don't think that rocket can fly out of that little circle base track.
You think
the fins are too big?
I think the leg pylon thingies, whatever you want to fucking call them, are going to prevent it from flying out. I hope I'm wrong. I would say...
I can see that. Actually, I think you're right on that, because they do look very big compared to the track.
But he's not really in the launcher, is he?
He's not, and I'm hoping that's the deal. But I don't know, man. I mean,
yeah,
I want to like this.
If you look at image 11.
Yeah, image 11.
Okay, that's favorable. That's more favorable.
It's
like the pylons are wider in image 12.
Yeah,
too. Like they're spread out.
It's his claw piece. So you can't trust marketers to transform a figure, right?
I don't know. I don't know what the price difference is going to be or the size difference, but we've had a couple of third-party Omega Supremes and that were two pieces, and the DX9 little guy that I really want. I'd take any of those over this.
All right, well, Jeremy, what do you think?
I like it.
It's not you to hell.
It's not a competition.
I've never had an Omega Supreme. I've never had an Omega Supreme, but I accept all the faults that you guys have brought up. It clearly has issues, but everything in the Siege line has issues. All I have to say is I see very little of that mess, the kind of mud paint stuff that they've been adding to these figures. The only things we see are kind of around the pegs for the holes for the effects. You have like little burn marks, and I think that is a nice little touch. There are clear faults with this figure, but just for the sheer size of it, compromises had to be made. I will likely not be picking this up until it goes on sale for $50 somewhere. I think it's if you have a diorama, this is a figure you're going to want to have. Personally, I really wish I had been able to pick up that Legend Scale Omega Supreme at TFCon a while back, but if someone wants to send me this, I'll take it.
You guys are talking about the one that I have, right?
Yeah, the one that we tried to go back for and it was already gone.
Yeah, I like this figure too. So, I mean, I don't know if I don't really have space for this figure, so I probably won't pick it up myself. I like it. I even like, I don't know, I'd like the Countdown figure, but that's, I can't buy this whole figure just for the little Countdown Micromaster. I mean, I don't like Micromasters that much.
Sure you can.
Keep the Micromaster, give the figure to Jeremy, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
You should get the US version and the Takara version and pull a Shelton on this.
Well, and there's bound to be a SDCC exclusive version.
Ooh.
Yeah. The full Shelton.
A rare triple Shelton.
What if they did a blue repaint and had an Omega Sentinel?
Shouldn't this be a Daryl? Because I'm not a completionist for toys.
I don't buy the same figure multiple times. That's
if
ridiculous.
If you get it and keep the Countdown, then that's a Daryl.
No, if you get it and immediately lose the Countdown, then you've pulled a Daryl.
Yeah, that might happen with my kids in the house. That might happen. All right, well, that's all our toy topics. So let's move on to some trips to the store. And this is where we show off all the awesome Transformer stuff we got this week. We do this as a video that we show on YouTube, so you can see everything we got in beautiful high definition. But we'll also put the audio right here in the podcast as well, so you can keep listening to us describe all our figures in loving detail. But you should really check out that YouTube video too, because, you know, seeing is believing. So without further ado, trips to the store. All right, let's talk about the Transformer stuff we got this week. And we'll start it off with Yoshi.
Last weekend, I was at the Washington State Summer Con, checking out all the con comic book goodness. I heard no less than 3 groups of people bring up the 25th anniversary Optimus Prime with DVD and comic book set. Apparently, this is the shit to them. They thought this was the best version of Optimus Prime that ever came out. They all wanted to own it. They were hoping to find one at the convention. They didn't, but I have one. They inspired me to pull up from the vault this monster.
I have that one too. I got it signed by Peter Cullen that year he was at TFCon.
Who's that then?
Peter Cullen?
Yeah.
Just some guy. I like to have him sign my toys for no reason.
God, and you give me shit for signing my comic book with a bunch of fucking artists and voice actors and shit, and you just have random people. I'll sign it for you if you want next time I see you.
You can get it graded, too.
I have never opened this thing, with the exception of I did remove the battery from the voice box, just so it wouldn't acidize or whatever the fuck batteries do. But that's my item from the vault this week.
So why is that considered the shit now?
Fuck, I have no idea, dude. A lot of the groups of these people that were talking about this were younger than me, and it's very possible that's the first time they ever saw Optimus Prime in the store before. So maybe that was it.
Don't they know they can just go to Walmart and buy an Optimus Prime for $50?
You know, this probably. I wonder how much this thing went for when I bought it. Oh, I don't think this was.
Yeah, it was
$50.
less than that, I'm sure.
What mold is that?
It's G1, short smokestacks.
Comes with the comic.
Comes with the comic in the first 3 episodes, I think, is what it is. So, you know, for the one thing you buy that gives you an introductory to G1, this is probably one of the best things you could get, because it had the cartoon and it had the comic book and it had the action figure.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Wheelie is roller is gray in this.
I didn't know Prime came with a wheel.
Yeah. 2 firing missiles. Trailer converts into battle station. Autobot shield clips to your belt or stands on your desk.
Okay. Thanks for reading the copy.
I've been trying to get the fucking attention off of me, and you guys aren't biting into it, so I'm just now going nuts.
All right, let's move on to Mike.
Thanks.
So I have something from the vault as well. Something from very far back in the vault. I have some of the old McDonald's Transformers figures. These are the first transforming figures, or the transforming toys that McDonald's came out with, and they were based off of like the old food products that they had. Like, I don't think they have hotcakes anymore there. I could be wrong, but
yes, they do.
They released.
They do. They just don't have the styrofoam boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Good for you for not knowing that, Mike.
They had 2 series of these things. They had like robot-based ones, and they had dinosaur-based ones. And I had recently finished up. When I say recently, like a couple of years ago, finished up both lines from it. And yeah,
they're bots. They're bots before there were bots.
Much bigger than BotBots, but yeah, they were like very, very simplistic transformations, and sometimes it was just like you lift up the top bun and that's it. Your transformation's done. So simplistic stuff. But I remember getting these when I was a kid, when I actually went to McDonald's, and yeah, never had the full set until very recently.
Yeah, I just ran across a picture of those today, and I showed my kid, and he was just amazed. But being almost 5, a lot of things amaze him.
A transforming hamburger? This is awesome. But yep, no, that's what I got. So,
All right, Jeremy, you're up next.
All right. I am going to the vault as well. Been doing some cleaning and reorganizing. I've been finding a bunch of old things that I got from like previous BotCons and stuff that I've forgotten about. These come from BotCon 2011. This is a print I got from the Hasbro Prime booth, where I remember they had a huge Optimus Prime from Transformers Prime, like a statue you could take pictures with, and then this is a print of Optimus from Hasbro Studios, BotCon 2011. And then on the other side of this case I have here is a print from, this is a lithograph from BotCon, same year, Transformers Battle Lines. This goes along with some of their fiction that they had. It's really reflective here. It's just G1 characters. I think it's the set in the classics line of figures. This is not their Shattered Glass, as far as I can tell. But I just thought it was good art. I'm not sure who did the art. I probably should have looked that up. I imagine it was one of the comic guests that they had that year.
I think it's the set in the Wings universe.
Oh, okay.
Wings of Honor universe or something like that.
Yeah, probably. The figures all look like the classics line of figures, but that would make sense. So yeah, it's nice artwork. I'm just still like, as I'm cleaning up and reorganizing a lot of my stuff, I'm running across a lot of this that I'd forgotten about. Like I'd previously shown this on a show from like TFCon a few years ago, but I found a Livio piece that I'd completely forgotten that I had done, and I need to get lots of frames and put stuff up. That's all I got this week.
I have one figure that turns into 6 figures. Six Gun. So Six Gun is the weaponizer in the War for Cybertron Siege line, based on the little accessory figure from the G1 Metroplex. I don't know if his color scheme matches with the Generations Metroplex from a few years ago. Maybe it does. But yeah, he's a cool figure, and he does come apart. So, you know, his arms are all...
That's horrible engineering.
Just rip that off.
Yeah.
Leg is a gun. Yeah, he comes all into pieces.
Why are you breaking your figure there, Charles? You just bought him.
Well, now he's the guns for all my other figures. He's giving himself, he's donating his pieces to the war effort.
In a few years, when Daryl's wanting to get one of these figures secondhand, it's going to be horrible. He's going to be missing all sorts of parts.
Yeah, this guy is really, if you give this to a kid, everything is going to be gone in a couple of days. There's so many pieces and bits for this figure, but it's cool. And then, I have my Chromia here, and you can see it does work. So there you go. But yeah, this
so graphic.
I like this figure. He also has his vehicle mode is really cool. I'm not going to show it now because it's very parts formery. It's basically disassembling and reassembling. But the original Six Gun didn't have an alternate mode other than turning into a bunch of guns. So, it's cool that they gave him a little alternate mode. All right, Daryl, wrap it up. Bring us home.
Okay. Well, I went to a training session this week in Mississauga, and while I was there, I ran around to a bunch of different comic book stores that I don't get to go to very often. And while I was there, I picked up a copy of Transformers number 7 again. This is the Livio Remondelli cover, and it came with a pack of cards. I have already opened it, so I'm not going to do that right now, but I got a Cosmos.
Nice.
Fuck.
A decent little pull.
Is that a rare, or...?
It is very much a rare, yeah.
Cool.
While at one of the said comic book stores, this is from Alex Milne's store of choice. It's called Stadium Comics in Brampton. And I was there talking with one of the owners and chatting with him about Transformers and comics and doing variant covers, because they do a lot of variants and we did a variant, and they know Alex and we know Alex, and at the end of the conversation he's like, here, take these comic books and give them away on your show. So these first one is one that we all know. This is the Stadium Comics exclusive for Unicron number 1 that Alex had done, and that's a really cool real cool cover that he did, so that'll be a prize. And then the next one I think we'll give away as a trio, because they're a combining cover, and I'm backwards here, but
it's a combiner.
Yeah, so they all go together. I'm not going to be able to hold them all up, but needless to say, they all kind of fit. And it's the IDW Marvel Action. So IDW's done a couple Marvel books with Avengers number 1 and Spider-Man and Black Panther. And Alex Milne did covers for all these. So they are RE covers, and we got a set that we'll give away at some point here, thanks to Stadium Comics in Brampton.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah. I did pick up a toy. I found it at Value Village. I went to Value Village last week and saw a bag with a figure in it that I didn't have, a G1 figure, surprisingly. This is G1 Barrage.
Ooh, Deluxe Insecticon.
That's right. He's missing both weapons and the front of his insect head, because it comes down in the front of his chest there in robot mode. So I'm going to look for those pieces, but he's in really good condition. Nothing's broken. All the joints are really tight, and I'm pretty impressed, because this is one that I really needed for my G1 collection. And the bag of stuff that he was in was $1.99. So I'm well on my way to getting a good deal on it. That particular bag also included a G1 drag strip, which I have 2 of already, but that's okay. He's also in really good shape, so he'll go into the trade bin.
Hashtag return to Value Village.
Yeah, that's about it. That's my week.
All right, well, that'll do it for Trips to the Store. All right, we're back from our trips to the store, and we will finish up the show with convention news.
All right. In convention news this week, we had an unexpected surprise, thanks to our friend Jimmers. He got word that the Respective Prime vinyl has shipped and on his way to him, which means that he will have them in time for TFCon Toronto. When he was on our show, he was unsure about the timing of things, so he didn't want to promise it, but now apparently he is. So while he was partying in Vegas, he got some good news, and if you haven't pre-ordered it and you're going to TFCon, make sure to stop by his booth and pick it up. That'll be it for convention news this week.
All right, well, that will do it for this episode of Transmissions. Again, thanks, Mike, for joining us this week.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And don't forget to listen to Empire of Rust. Episode 1 is going to drop on July 8th, the Monday after July 4th, just in time for your trip to TFCon.
Yeah, check that out. Wherever...
Is that the Monday after the Canada Day weekend, too? Is that the same Monday?
We don't know about Canada Day.
When's Canada Day?
July 1st?
Yeah, then it would be the Monday after. It'd actually be a week from Canada Day.
Mm-hmm. That's an important day for other reasons, Daryl. No one cares about Canada Day.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, before we start an international incident, let's end the show. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Later.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean the Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Sounds like Daryl's also kind of tired.
You want to take a minute and go get a cookie, Daryl?
I would like a cookie.
Shut up, Hot Mike.
You sound so upset.
We've been warring on different topics in the last few shows. I'll add something, he'll cross it out. I'll add it back in, he'll take it out again.
Well, with Mike here and Daryl gone, we have a quorum. We can vote him off the island.
No,
wouldn't that be true if just Charles was here?
This is true.
Yeah, Charles's nickname is the Quorum.
Those are Canadian dates, though, Mike. They don't count.
The metric count.
This is
awesome.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to step on you. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is going to be.
There's just another thing you guys approved without me, but go on, Mike.
Jeremy, you got drowned out. What did you say?
Basically the same thing Yoshi was saying.
Oh, okay.
I'll let Yoshi do it. He's never here.
Fuck off. Go fucking Christ. Jesus.
Anyway,